All righty. Hey, team, welcome to Path to the Pros, brought to you by Blueprint to Bluechip, where we build the human being underneath the athlete. I'm Thomas Rose, sports performance coach and co-founder of Blueprint to Bluechip. And with me, as always, is my co-founder and CEO, Aaron Sarles, with 25 years of Fortune 500 executive coaching, sports mom, and woman who built the Blueprint Caddy framework. Tonight's story starts in Cleveland, Ohio. A girl born with Epilepsy palsy, a condition that limits movement in her left shoulder and arm. She started physical therapy as a child. She started running around age 10. She competed alongside able-bodied runners, and that's important in high school. She set school records in 100 and 200 meters and never once thought about parasports because nobody told her she qualified. She got to Eastern Michigan University. Her coach got a call, and everything changed. At 21 years old, she went to Dubai and won gold at the World Para-Athletics Championships. In Tokyo, she won gold in the Paralympic Games. And in Paris, she competed on the world's biggest stage again and brought home 2 silver medals. She's one of the most prominent faces in American parasports movement, a woman who is using her platform to make sure that no athlete ever again goes through life not knowing what they're capable of. Welcome to Path to the Pros. Brittni, you are an absolute rock star. Welcome, and thank you for taking time out of your day to join me and Aaron.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Brittni, Cleveland, Ohio, take us back. What was growing up like for you, and what was your relationship with sports from the very beginning?
Yes, absolutely. So, like you said, I was born with Erb's palsy, which is a form of brachial plexus that affects the limit and range of motion in my left shoulder and arm. And so from an early age, I had to be in physical therapy. And then my parents were told to put me in sports to, continue that range of motion and to get more range of motion as a child so that I wouldn't get stagnant with the progression. So at age 3, I was, in swimming, gymnastics, and then also dance. And so I've always been in sports and always competitive sports. And so from the age of 3, I've been playing sports nonstop every single year. I actually don't think there's been a single year that I've had where I have not been competing in some sort of sport. So that's always kind of been like the forefront of like my family and keeping me active as well. I did gymnastics and dance and swimming for a little while. And then at the age of 10, it's when I started to transition to track. And I was still doing a little bit of dance and gymnastics, but started to really take on track more so through middle school. And I also played basketball. And then by high school, it was just pretty much strictly track.
Gotcha. Well, that's a lot of sports there. How did you zero in on track and field? Because clearly you're an incredible athlete. And then you just as you said, you narrowed it down to track and field in high school. Why was it track over everything else?
Yes, for sure. So that's where my parents, I think, saw the most growth and potential, just from like natural ability, and how I had really good success early on. From like the age of 11 years old, I ran through AAU circuits, and I ended up being the 5th fastest 11-year-old in the country in the 100-meter dash and 200-meter dash. And I think that they saw that potential and like the work I had been putting in, and like that sport just made the most sense if I was looking long term into getting a scholarship to run in college.
Fascinating, because you competed along able-bodied runners your entire childhood and high school career. Did you ever think of yourself differently from the athletes around you, or did the sport just feel like the sport?
Yeah, so the sport definitely felt like the sport, but I think a lot of that has to do with my parents and how they allowed me to look at myself. Yes, I have a disability, but honestly, they never really used that word around me growing up. So yes, I knew I was different. Yes, I knew I had nerve damage and I had to go to PT and do other things, but my parents just always taught me to have good work ethic and to just work really hard, and that if I wanted to achieve something that I could. And so even if that meant working twice as hard as the other kids around me, then that's just something I had to do if I wanted to achieve my goals.
No doubt. And then you set records in the 100, 200 meters in high school and won multiple championships. What did those years build in you and your confidence?
Oh gosh, a lot of confidence. It teaches you how to compete and not to be afraid to step on the line, against your competitors. I think a lot of the time when you're younger, like you're afraid to compete and you're afraid to fail. But for me, like growing up with parents, like they just wanted me to try and to just not be afraid to compete and to just put myself out there. And that helped me a lot with my confidence from a young age to even now. They weren't about necessarily winning. Like they didn't care about you winning, but if you went out there and you put your best foot forward and you trained for it, And that's what the best outcome could have been. Like, they were always proud of me, no matter what.
That's awesome. So competing against able-bodied runners, your arm was never an issue. It was all about the psyche for you and just delivering and just executing at the task at hand, I'm guessing. How did that mentally frame you and competition?
Yeah, so it always just, I think, kind of like training and, behind the scenes where people don't kind of see that. My parents also, again, played a huge role in like my mental and like just that confidence builder of telling me like, you can do this, and like just having like those positive affirmations, writing goals on my wall, knowing that I can achieve those things. So I guess that's nothing I really thought about kind of growing up. I just think that it was instilled in me at such a young age that like no matter what, I always knew that I prepared for it and I was going to get on the line and compete to the best of my ability and just have fun with it.
I love it. That's awesome. Aaron, I'm going to kick it over to you and get you in the fold here for segment 2. Go for it. Take it away.
Unmute. Okay, sounds great. So now that you got to Eastern Michigan, walk us through what it was like, to receive that call, knowing that you were going to go run track. What was kind of that first moment like? What was going through your mind when you received that call?
Yeah, so actually I actually remember when I received the offer. It was Easter, I believe. So, and it was like I signed actually on my birthday, my 18th birthday, at school. So it was incredible. It was a blessing. I had a couple schools I had to kind of narrow it down to, but I really fell in love with Eastern Michigan University. And when I went on my recruiting visit, it just felt like a family, and it was very family oriented. And I felt like that was somewhere I could strive and, thrive. And it wasn't too far from home, but it was just far enough where my parents had to, make a phone call to pop up on me. So it was incredible to, get the opportunity to be able to run at the next level, because many athletes in high school don't get that opportunity. And so it was just a blessing to have been highly recruited. And I'll never forget my coach was telling me, he's like, wow, like, you're really fast, we can just sign you, we can just get your form together, work on your arm, then we can just get you even faster, like not knowing that I had like nerve damage until I told him. But I just always thought that was kind of funny, because he's like, okay, like that's just the one thing we need to fix and then we're golden. But even still, like under his coaching, I still ran my fastest times of my career. And even with the disability, like, no one on my team ever, made me feel any different, nor did my coach. And I was able to achieve, far more success than I really thought that I was capable of.
That's awesome. So with that, like knowing that you have your disability, what led you into the Paralympics? Like, how did you kind of realize that you had an opportunity to compete?
Yeah, so it's so funny. So for like a year, someone had reached out to like our head coach and was like, "Hey, like you have an athlete that we're really interested in. Is she interested in running in the Paralympics?" And my coach at the time, like the head coach, not my sprint coach, was like, "What athlete are you talking about? Like, I don't have any athletes like, with a disability." So we were like going back and forth for like a year, and then I think it finally dawned on her that they were talking about me. And so I finally got a connection like over like I think a year later of someone reaching out to my coach and having interest with me, and I got connected, and she was telling me all about the Paralympic movement and how I qualified for the Paralympics and how I'd race against other athletes with similar disabilities. And there's like an entire world for athletes who travel all around the world and compete for their country that are just like me. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a cool opportunity. I honestly, like, my entire life I've maybe met one or two people with the same exact disability as me. And this is like at the age of 21. So I haven't seen many people, at least where I've been, that has the same disability. So I was like, wow, this is like such a cool opportunity. And again, I didn't know what to expect. I had to like start researching a little bit more. And then like I told my parents, like, I think this is like a really cool opportunity. But it was like really quick, where I had to go get like nationally classified in the same year, a couple months after the conversation. Then I had to go and get internationally classified in order to be eligible for the games. So it was like really, really rapid on how I had to just kind of get pushed into the Paralympic movement. And I'm glad we just kind of like trusted our gut and just kind of like went with it. But it was a really quick process. But it was a good process.
That's awesome. So what was that first moment for you? So I know you've shared this on the podcast before, but I'd love for you to share it for this audience of What was that first moment like? I mean, because it did happen really fast for you.
Yeah. So in June, I had to go get nationally classified first. So we went to this meet in Chicago. I hadn't raced for a little while because, college season is different from, the Paralympic season. And so my college season was done. We went to this track meet. And one of my roommates, actually, she lives in Chicago. So she came and like watched me, and it was freezing cold. Like, I will never forget. This was probably one of the coldest meets I have ever been to. And oh gosh, it was like awful. But I had to go here, and this was like my only chance to get my national classification. And so I was getting classified, and it was just so funny. I remember that the classifier was asking, like, okay, like, what's your 100 times? What's this? What's that? So I was like, oh, I run 11:8 at the time. And so she's like, oh, do you mean 12:8? And I'm like, no, like I run 11:8. And then she was just like, okay, what in the world? So I'm like, yeah, because at that time, no one had ran under, I think one girl ever in history had ran under 12 seconds at that time. And it was like 11:90 something. So I ran at that meet, ran really well, met a few para athletes. And then they told me after that I had to get internationally classified in order to be eligible for the games for Tokyo in 2020, but then it ended up being moved due to COVID. And so this was a really quick turnaround. They had Lima that year. And then they had world championships also in November. So I hadn't been internationally classified. I have to go to this classifying meet in order to even be able to be eligible for the Paralympics. And so I didn't get selected for Lima. I didn't know about it. And then my only chance was to get invited through like actually like the committee, to compete under discretion for world championships in November. So I actually basically just had to kind of submit my times, tell them, hey, this is what I've ran before. This is what I'm capable of. And like, it was up to the committee to actually like formally invite me themselves in order to compete at the world stage, because I had no other opportunity to qualify. And so, 6 months post my previous race, which was the one in Chicago, I ended up running in Dubai. And incredible, I ended up breaking the world record at my very first international meet. Crazy travel leading up to it, but everything works out the way it's supposed to work out. And then I also placed fourth in the 200, which was just crazy because I hadn't raced in 6 months, was just now getting into fall training of my college season, getting ready for indoor track. So it was completely different than, being prepped to peak at a championship meet at that time. But for some odd reason, I just went out there and believed in myself. And I was like, you know what? Like, I have nothing to lose. We're going to go out here and just have fun and just run really fast, get out as hard as you can, see where you die, make them catch you. And that's exactly what I did. You go back and watch the race. I died for probably about 20 meters and ended up breaking the world record at that national or at that international championship meet.
Wow. I mean, what a start. I mean, and now you're chasing yourself the rest of your career. It's like, okay, now I just have to top myself every time I hit.
Yes.
Which is incredible. I think for most listeners, this was probably not your expected path. So what would you say to athletes that I think have something so set in their mind that you had such a beautiful gift given to you that you didn't even probably knew existed at the time you were planning your athletic career?
Yeah, definitely. I would say be open-minded and don't be so headstrong on just thinking that you have one path. I thought that I was done after college. I thought that I was going into the medical field. I got all of the schooling, cried over all my science classes, like thinking that this was my path. I was never going to run again. And now I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, I have no idea what I would be doing right now if I wasn't running and pursuing this as my full-time career.
That's awesome. Yeah. Things come when you least expect them, which I think
Absolutely
is so powerful. Okay, Thomas, I'm going to kick it back over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Erin. Brittni, one of the things that we always talk about with the athletes is with the athletes who we're working with and their families, one of the questions the first question is, how do we get to the NBA? How do we get to the NFL? How do we get to the Olympics? There's never one path. Tell us about the phone call that changed everything. It's what we like to talk about. The path doesn't always look for the same for everybody. And what do you say to the athlete right now where you just shared that doesn't know if they found their path yet?
Yeah, I would say don't panic. I'll start from back to front. Don't panic. Like, your path, you're so young. things are forever changing, and this might be my path right now, even for me, but like my path in 10 years might be something completely different. But
Right.
this step of my life right now has gotten me to where I will need to be, you know, in the next decade of my life. So just taking it like day by day and not really stressing it. I know that's easier said than done, but just kind of like being in the moment. I think we forget to be in the moment.
Right.
We always think that we want something else, but I'm like, this is at a time, like this is something I've prayed for. Like I've had, you know, now I have 5 Paralympic medals. I never thought that I would achieve that because I didn't think that that was my path. And I thought that I was going to go into PA, which is great. That's a phenomenal, you know, career path. But now I get to do this and also have just the same amount of impact as I could have, if not more, going with that direction. And I remember too, like, I didn't know, you know, where it would lead me, that phone call with, you know, them reaching out about the Paralympics. But I remember the moment that I got the email that I got selected for the team. And just, I remember where I was. I was in our one of our training centers at Eastern, the football training center, and just cried my eyes out because I was just so happy and so blessed that I had this opportunity to, one, who doesn't want to go to Dubai and like
Right.
run, you know, in a different country, further country. And so too, and it's like just such a blessing to, you know, have that opportunity, something I might not have ever had before. And so now it's like I have this opportunity in front of myself and I think I need to take it. And so that's exactly what I did. I'm so grateful that I did.
So let's dig into that. 2019 Dubai World Para Athletics Championships. You're 21 years old, and this is your first major international competition. Walk us through that experience.
Yes. So traveling from the get-go was chaotic. Goodness gracious. So my flight got delayed. So I almost missed my connecting flight that was going to head to Dubai. It ended up pouring rain. And so they actually had to reconnect the jet bridge and like kind of like wait until like the weather died down. And so I'm like went up to the flight attendants or, you know, everyone at the gate. I'm like, hey, like, I need to be on that flight. Like, this is my first time traveling by myself. My parents aren't with me. If I don't get on this flight, I'm stuck, you know, I'm stuck in Canada overnight until like the next day. And I'm competing, you know, for the world para championships. And so I was like explaining this to them, hoping to get on this plane. I know it's not likely, but I'm like, you know, I'm going to shoot my shot and see if they'll let me on this flight. Ended up getting on the flight.
Nice.
And the flight attendant told me, she's like, you know, we have not come back for someone in over 15 years to reopen the doors. So like something good's going to happen to you. I'm not thinking anything of, I'm like, okay, I'm just happy that I'm not traveling by myself. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like phenomenal. I'm with people that I know. The coaches are on there. Like we're all good to go. I didn't travel with my college coach. He had to obviously coach college. So I only knew the para coaches and a few athletes that I met like at the time that I went to the meet in Chicago and like connected with them. And then fast forwarding to finally get in Dubai. My luggage did not make it. 3 days, no luggage, not a single thing. USA was a blessing and took me shopping, had to get everything down to like socks, like everything that you can imagine. And then the next day my luggage showed up. So that was also a blessing. Ended up going to my first race, preliminary round of the 100 was the first run. And my teammate actually at the time broke the world record in the preliminary round. I was like, oh, like, okay, this is awesome. Like I'm so like, this is gonna be a fun race, you know, in the finals. Again, not thinking anything of it. I actually ran a pretty good time in my preliminary round. My coach was pretty impressed that I ran that. And so we were talking about like what my plan was going to be for the final race. And he was like, you know what? I just need you to trust me. Like we're just gonna push out as hard as you can, run as fast as you can, pretty much just kind of like make the other athletes a little bit uncomfortable to kind of like run on your pace and see where it goes from there. So I did that, did exactly that. Got out as hard as I could and just like move your feet, move your feet, move your feet. And came through the line. It was pretty close. And I looked at the time and I was like, oh my gosh, like I just broke the world record. And like I was just like in disbelief that like that just happened off of, you know, the little training that I had. I had about a month-ish to prep for Worlds. So not a lot of time. Obviously, I've been running my entire life, so your body kind of, you know, gets used to that, but I just hadn't raced in 6 months. So that's a big difference in track and field when that's your, you know, your first meet back and you're not, you know, prepared to sprint that fast.
No doubt. No doubt. So you win a world championship, you win the gold in the 100 meters in the T47. Before I get into my next question, tell the audience what T47 means.
Yeah, so it's I am a combined class of 45s, 46, and 47. So it's anyone that has an upper limb impairment in the arm or shoulder.
Okay.
I am actually more impaired than most of my competitors because I am impaired in the shoulder and also the elbow. A lot of the people that I run with are 47s, meaning they have a little bit more range of motion and they're less disabled. So the lower the classification, the more disabled in that classification. So 45s and 46s are more impaired than a 47 would be.
Got it. And how did your training and preparation change after Dubai? What did you learn about yourself as a competitor at that level?
Yeah, I definitely learned that I am a power runner. And so I need to do a lot of explosive plyometrics, hill running, things like that. So that's all I did leading up into Dubai. I didn't even do any speed work really. It was just everything was just power, explosive, running outside, on the hills and just doing those type of things and building my strength in the weight room.
Awesome. I think we live in the most incredible country in the world. It's not perfect, but it's my country. What does it feel like to represent the United States of America on the international stage?
Oh my gosh, it is such a blessing. I remember when I was younger, just watching the Olympics and just being like, oh my gosh, I absolutely love the uniforms. I love that they get to represent USA. I'm like, how am I going to get there one day? Not thinking that, it would be on the Paralympic side. And so because I wasn't watching the Paralympics at that time, but always just like remembering like with my family, like every 4 years we would get excited to like watch the Olympics and like Team USA and like just how incredible it was for like the entire country comes together for that and like represents, and cheers on like all their athletes from that country. And it just was like surreal that like this is my life. And I get to tell people like, oh, like what do you do for a living? Like, oh, I run. They're like, oh, like, college. I'm like, oh, for Team USA. And I'm like, yeah, I get to run for our country. Like that is such an incredible feeling. And like something that's just like a little like, oh, like, yeah, I just run for Team USA. And I like absolutely love that I can like drop that dime on people because we are the best country.
I totally agree. I just got a text from Erin. She has a mom question. We got to let the mom in the house.
I do. I'm like, what was it like to call your like family back home? Like when you won, because they weren't there in Dubai with you, correct?
They were there in Dubai. So my mom and dad actually flew. Yes. So my mom and dad were actually in Dubai. And I'll tell this, it's so funny. Like I told you guys earlier in the episode, like my parents have always instilled a lot of confidence in me. And they always have believed in me and they always make it to the point where like I have no choice but to believe in myself. So I have this thing where like I always have my mom rub like Tiger Balm or like some sort of like balm like on my shoulder just to get like it a little bit more loose for my race. And I'll never forget, I went up in the stands before I went to go warm up. And she was like rubbing the Tiger Balm on my shoulder. And she was like, hey, make sure you hold the flag right when you win. And I was like, what, Mom? Like, Mom, you can't say that. And you're like, I'm like, stop, I'm going to leave. Like, but they just had that much confidence in me. I'm like, Mom, like, you can't say that. And then that was like the first thing I remembered, like when I crossed the line, I was like, wait, Mom said to hold the flag right. When I crossed the line, like just seeing like how happy like my parents were. That was their first time in Dubai, first time, watching me compete overseas. The only para meet they had been to was the one in Chicago where they were freezing to death with me also. So it was just so awesome to like see them in the stands. I'm like, oh my gosh, like guys, like your trip wasn't worth like, it was worth it. It was worth it. Like your missing work was worth it. So they were just like incredibly excited. And I'm glad I got that opportunity to have that with them for my first international race, to have them there because I didn't get that same experience for my first Paralympic Games. But it just meant a lot to me.
That's awesome.
I love it.
I love parents. Good job, Mom. That sounds like something I do and say. I just would be like, oh my God, Mom, seriously.
Well, that's so cool. So take us to Tokyo 2020, your first Paralympic Games. Walk us through what arriving in Tokyo felt like, because I'm pretty sure you made that flight, and it was probably a different stage for the parasports.
So funny enough, that flight got canceled the night before I traveled to Tokyo. Actually had to take the next flight. So I don't know what it is with me going, at these major meets, but I actually did not make the first flight. Ended up getting to Tokyo. Times were really interesting. COVID was happening during that time. And if you ever tested positive for COVID within, I think, like 30 or between 30 or 90 days, I can't remember what the time frame was, but you couldn't compete or you had to quarantine. And it was like a whole bunch of things that, were required with the vaccinations and things like that. And we had to get COVID tested every single day at the game. So it was so weird because like you're around all these countries from all over the world. You're wearing a mask constantly. Like you're training in a mask. Like it was nuts. Like I remember like my preliminary race, you could of the 100 meters, and you could hear a pin drop because there were no fans. Like the stadium was so empty. Besides like the few like, people that were in the stadium that were like competing, it was very empty. It was very different from Dubai. But obviously everyone was watching, at home and things like that. So my parents didn't tell me after my finals. I was like, okay, like, I'm getting interviewed and they're asking how I felt. And I had just got edged out by 0.001 seconds in the 100-meter dash. It came down to us both running 11:97 in the pouring rain. And like, it was just like, everything just happened so fast. But again, like, this is my very first Paralympic Games. I'm just happy to be healthy here. And this is my first like Paralympic medal. And then later on ended up getting another silver and then a gold in the relay where we broke the world record in the relay also during that time. But from my 100 race, like they're interviewing me like, oh, like, how does it feel? Like, how do you miss anyone back at home? I'm like, oh my gosh, I miss my parents so much. Like, and like my family, like this is emotional. Like they're not here. I'm used to them being at my major meets. And so my parents didn't tell me that they had it where they connected, where I was able to talk to them live after my race via like headphones, and they had them on the screen, and my entire family had a watch party. I'm talking like cousins, aunts, uncles, my parents, my grandparents, everyone was like watching me and having a watch party at like 6 o'clock in the morning, back at home. And I just remember like bawling my eyes out because like the only thing I wanted to like do after my race was like talk to my family, like talk to my parents and like, see how happy they were. And they were just like so proud of like, what I had achieved. And like, that was just like a moment that I'm never going to forget.
I love it. Love it. So you won gold in the mixed 4x1 relay and 2 silver medals in the 100 and 200. Take us into that mixed relay team. Noah Malone, Nikki Mayhew, Tatiana McFadden. What was the energy of that team, and what did winning feel like?
Yes. So fun fact, every single person on that relay at the time, I'm not sure if they still do, had the world record in their classification.
Wow.
So I'm talking all 4 athletes have the world record in their classification. So we knew it was going to be fast. So it was a lot of like kind of like going back and forth of how they were going to have the relay. There's so many different combinations that Team USA could have chosen, but I'm so happy that they chose, us 4. Right. And so usually you put like a male on the second leg because like that's a really long back stretch and like you want to kind of get like ahead of everything. But we were the only team that were boy, girl in our order. Really? Most people yes, the only team. And let me tell you, I held my own on that relay. Soon as Noah tapped me, I just was like, go, 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 go. And I didn't get caught. And I was like, yes, like this is all I needed to do was, run as fast as I could, not get caught, tap Nick, and then they'll carry it home. And then after that, I'm like, oh my gosh, did we just break the world record? Like that was unexpected because in the preliminary round, like it was a little chaotic. We're like, oh my gosh, like, okay, we got to do better in the final. We still had like a really good time going into the final, but we're like, we have to win. We have to win this. And I had to run this before my individual 200 race, which was the next morning and night. And I had to run 2 rounds of this relay on Friday. So I'm like, guys, I'm running this before my like open event. Like we have to run well. Like we got this. And so we ended up running phenomenally. And then I had to come back and run, my 200 prelim and final the next day. I can't tell you last time I ran that many races in that short of a time frame. That was very mental, but we got through it. And I was just so happy to be a part of that relay. And that was the first time that they had the relay at the games.
Love it. Love it. So we go Dubai, Tokyo, next stop, Paris. What did it mean to be back on that stage, and what did you learn from Tokyo and Dubai to take into Paris, and what was different, and what between your mindset and the just being physically toned?
Yeah, so anything can happen at a games year. You can run as fast as you want all year round, but like it does not matter. Like you're only as good as your last race, and like anything can happen at any given time. You can have a slow reaction, fast reaction, people false start, people get hurt, like things like that. So like you just have to go there every single race. Think about yourself. Don't think about all the other athletes next to you who ran what in the preliminary round or whatnot. Like when you line up for that final, it's just like I'm tunnel vision. I'm just thinking about like my lane, what I have to do, what I have to execute, and I can't run other people's races. And that's exactly what I've learned from like every single championship that I have done. Also dip at the line, because that's what lost me gold to silver in Tokyo. And then mindset too, it's like there is a lot of pressure on you, like you come out, I came out in the Paralympics, hot, my first world championships, gold and world record, and then medaling in every single event in Tokyo. So there is a lot of pressure that I kind of put on myself, but I'm like, you know what? Like I've trained for this. Like I got this. Like it's confidence. Like I know what my times have been, what I've been training for. Like, and so that just gave me a lot of confidence. And ended up, again, I will never forget, like my 100 final, the girl next to me ended up falling. So she actually fell, hit me mid-race. She didn't mean to, but she's just falling, trying to grab her hamstring. And I'm like, you have to keep going. You have to keep going. You have to keep going. Like, this is, again, like tunnel vision. Anything can happen in your race. I could have been started. I just, tensed up a little bit, but I'm like, you have to just finish through the finish line. Ended up getting second. The girl on the outside kind of edged me out at the line, and she was like lane 7 or 8. And I was, again, just happy again to be at my second games, and I've medaled, again. So now I'm like kind of like I've medaled in every single race that I've ran at a Paralympic championship. And then also same with going in for the 200 as well. Just kind of like pushing my boundaries, seeing where I could go, just like got out as hard as I could, because I was like in the outside lane, so I couldn't see anyone, and just like running as fast as I could, and just pumping my arms through the finish line, and just kind of seeing where that got me. And I was able to secure 2 silvers for Paris.
That's badass. That's badass. However, Brittni, with this success, and it's all earned, comes a different responsibility. You're now the face of para sports. How do you feel about that responsibility and that new success?
I absolutely love it. Like, it's an honor. It's like, it's nothing I'd shy away from. I think that everything happens for a reason. And I've actually been saying, I'm like, I want to be a face. Like, I want to be that someone that people look and they're like, wow, like she runs for the Paralympics. Like, I want to grow the movement. I want people to look at me and remember, oh, like she runs for Team USA. She runs for the Paralympics. Like, let me tune in. Let me watch her. So I don't kind of shy away from it. I kind of like, I've accepted it. And I think it's an honor, like honestly, to be able to be, one of the forefronts of the Paralympic movement, and to help, have other people involved, and to kind of show people like you are capable of, achieving your goals.
No doubt. No doubt. Aaron, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of to piggyback on that. Like, yeah, I know part of your mission is how you inspire and role model for the younger generation. So what's one thing you would share, I think, specifically with young girls in the audience that they can take from your story?
Yeah, I would say, like, honestly, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Like, learn who you are and like really have fun with like everything you do. Life is already so serious. Like, try those things that you're afraid to try, and be as glittery and as sparkly as you want to be, and have your personality shine through whatever you do. And like, don't allow people to limit what you're capable of. Just because someone else can't achieve it doesn't mean that you can't achieve it. And there's so many things in the world where I've always looked at like, well, if someone else has it, why can't I? And I think having a positive mindset with every step that you take and everything that you do definitely goes a long way. And just kind of having that confidence to believe in yourself.
I love that. I love that. I love to add their personality, whatever that is, the sparkle, the shine, you name it. And what's the future look like for you, Brittni, beyond Paris? What are you building and what are you chasing?
Yeah, so I am currently training up through at least through LA. So we actually have world championships next year. LA is quickly approaching. I cannot believe that I already ran 2 years ago at my second games. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm on my third games already. I would love to go through Australia. Honestly, I've never been. So that would be really cool. I don't know how long I'm gonna run for. I've just been taking it kind of like year after year. It's funny, every game. So like, oh, like looking into like the next games, I'm like, whoa, like let me run my races here first. But taking it kind of like year by year, and I'm just kind of like seeing where my body takes me. I've been taking good extra care of my body, so hopefully it takes good care of me in return.
I love it. And what do you love to do when you're not on the track?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I love to shop, but like within
Okay,
reason.
good. I was like, we got to get into the fun stuff.
I absolutely love to shop. I love to travel. I always want a trip planned. I always like want to go with like my family, friends, or like my boyfriend to go, travel the world and do those things. And I love spending quality time with my friends and family. And then also too, I'm a licensed esthetician. So I absolutely love to make women feel more beautiful than they already are and like just kind of enhance those beauties outside of track.
I love that. That's so awesome. Like shopping, and who doesn't love skincare? Nothing better. Thomas, on that note, right back to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Brittni, what is, we all talk about timing, right? God has a certain plan. He always has a certain plan for all of us. And sometimes our prayers don't get answered at the same time or on our schedule. What's the one thing you wish someone had told you earlier about what you're capable of? And what do you want to make sure the next generation hears from you?
Oh, what am I capable of? That's a good question. I would say that I just wish that, I don't know. So, my parents have always told me like the sky is my limit, but I wish that someone would have told me that I was capable of, running in the Paralympics a little bit earlier, and having a little bit more earlier success. I think that being able to run with other athletes just like myself at a young age would have helped a lot. And then in terms of like the next generation, I just feel like you just have to go for it. Whether it's on like the Olympic side, Paralympic side, even if you don't achieve to that level, like still kind of going after your goals and like kind of setting them year after year. Like I like to put goals on my wall to achieve and like knock those off, whether it's grades when I was in school, or like I want to run a certain time this season, or I want to achieve this in dance or gymnastics. Like just kind of having those goals. And yes, you want to look bigger picture, but also just kind of like be in the moment and like appreciate the little wins also.
I love it. I love it. I think we talked about this when we first met off camera, and it was, for me, Path to the Pros it's one of my favorite episodes, or my favorite series that we do. We actually had a Super Bowl champion on here, and I asked him what I'm going to ask you, if you didn't have football, what would it be? And he's like, you know what? Honestly, Tiro, I'm going to tell you, football wasn't even my first love. Basketball was. And I was like, wait a minute, you got a Super Bowl ring. And he's like, yeah, but you can't play pickup football in your 30s, but you can with basketball. So he still loves it. So if you didn't have track, what would you be doing athletically?
Yeah, I literally want, okay, tennis. Tennis is like
Really?
one of them. I love the outfits. If you haven't picked up, I'm big on the outfits and the uniforms. Tennis is so incredible. I went to go watch a match in Spain, and I was like mind blown at like how cool and how amazing and how athletic they were. Like I knew that they were, but like seeing it in person, I was like, this is amazing. I also am a huge fan of gymnastics too. I was a gymnast for a really long time. So I don't know if I could still flip a little bit. I can do a little bit, but I probably can't do any backflips or anything like that anymore. But definitely either of those two sports. Also, the uniform is really cute in gymnastics. So
I love it. You did mention that. It's all about the outfits, because
all about the outfits.
you have some incredible outfits when you're
Thank you.
How do you get to pick the uniform? I'm sure Team USA says, okay, this is what you're going to wear here. When do you get to pick your own uniform?
Yeah, so any non-major para meet. So for example, like nationals is coming up next week. So Worlds and the games, I for sure have to wear our Team USA uniforms. Any other meets, when I go to Prefontaine, Grand Prix, things like that, I typically can wear whatever I want. And I actually have someone who custom makes every single uniform for every single race, and I don't repeat an outfit. And so that's the fun of it, because I get to show my personality on the track and get to have all these fun and cool uniforms. And like, they're all custom made to me and my personality. And it's been so fun because we've gotten to the point where she just like blind makes them and like sends them to me. And now we're like in this like glitter phase with like my arm sleeves, like the uniforms are super cool, like the bows in my hair. So I get to show my personality through that, which is like really fun. I still do it with USA, but it's more so like red, white, and blue, rhinestones on my face, red bow, blue bow, those type of things.
I love it. What's your favorite color?
Pink, easy. My car is pink.
Brittni, what do you say to parents of a child with a disability who wonders whether sport is for their kids? What do you want them to hear tonight?
Yes, don't limit them. Like, don't coddle them. Don't make them feel like because they have a disability that they have to be treated so much more differently than able-bodied athletes. It's like, I'm so happy that my parents did not allow me to use my disability as a crutch to not achieve things. And I think that that is huge. And I will say this, a lot of my teammates are just the same way that are on the para circuit. And they are some of the strongest human beings mentally, physically, emotionally, because they've had to go through so many things, but they were allowed to go through those things and figure out, the toughness of real life. And like, just because you have a disability, I feel like a lot of people kind of limit that exposure to children.
Love it. Before we get into our final question here, every athlete has a role model or hero. Who's yours?
My parents. But if we have to talk about on the track, I absolutely love Shelly Ann Fraser Price and Carmelita Jeter are my two favorite sprinters.
Have you met them?
Listen, okay. Little side story. I just ran at Prefontaine and I just ran a season's best, the fastest time I've ran since 2021. Super excited, happy, great. I like walk out after my race and there she is, Shelly Ann Fraser Price. When I tell you I have never fangirled so hard over someone and meeting them, and I was like, we have to get a picture with her. I like texted my parents. I'm like, SOS, just saw Shelly Ann Fraser Price. Like, what the heck do I do? She was super lovely. We ended up taking a group photo, and I was like, this just made my day. And then I've met Carmelita Jeter also like a few years back, and that was also incredible because they're both really short, stocky sprinters like myself. And so I really resonate with that. And then Shelly Ann is all about the fun hair, nails, and like those type of things when she runs. So like that's why I've also always like really liked her growing up.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Brittni, we ask every single guest on Path to the Pros the same final question. You were born with Erb's palsy. You spent your entire childhood competing along able-bodied runners without knowing there was a whole world of competition built for athletes like you. You found out in college, and then at 21 years old, you went to Dubai and won World Championship. Then Tokyo, and then Paris, and now you're using everything you've been given to make sure that no one else gets left behind. What do you want your name and your legacy to stand for?
Oh, courage and confidence. I think that I want people to look at me and my name and like what I bring and say like, wow, like she had the courage to go after her dreams and she was always confident, doing it. And I think that's something that I think a lot of people should try to instill in themselves because with confidence, I'm telling you, like you can achieve a lot of great things in life.
That's remarkable. Team, that is Path to the Pros for this week. Brittni, Aaron, thank you so much. Thank you for running, Brittni. Thank you for winning, and thank you for deciding that the medal wasn't enough, that the mission mattered more. You are changing the game for the entire generation of athletes who don't know yet what they're capable of. And tonight you've changed it for everyone in this room, including myself. To everyone watching, share this, tag an athlete, tag a sports parent, tag a young girl who needs to hear this story tonight because it's a special story. Follow Brittni, support her journey. The next chapter is still being written. Brittni, where can people get a hold of you, whether it's your social media, email, or website?
Yes, definitely. All of my socials are the same with the _BRITTNNII.
Awesome. 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 Team, we are back next Thursday at 6 p.m. live on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Until then, stay off the shortcuts, stop cutting corners, and stay on the path. And remember why you started. This is Blueprint to Blue Chip, and we build the human being underneath the athlete. We'll see you next time. Brittni, have a fantastic rest of your day and weekend. Thank you, Aaron, for bringing the magic and putting this all together. We'll see you, team. Have a great weekend.